Now, earlier on, we spoke about the effect COVID-19 is having on imported inputs in the agricultural sector. Well, I'm glad to say I've actually now got an input supplier to that sector to talk about the effect the pandemic has had on them. Linda van der Merwe joins me now from Corteva. Linda, welcome to Tech Terrain. Are you well?
I'm well, thank you, Tony, and thank you for the opportunity.
Linda, tell us about Corteva. What is Corteva?
Well, Corteva Agriscience's purpose is to enrich the lives of those who produce and those who consume to ensure progress for generations to come. So we are in the privileged situation of providing an encompassing portfolio to growers ranging from seed to crop protection and to digital solutions, also backed up by a solid pipeline of new technology and germplasm.
Okay. What challenges are you facing right now due to the pandemic?
Well, of course, various challenges. I think first up is if one looks at logistics, in the broader Africa sense, we've seen a number of challenges in terms of border control, only following protocols, also delays. Thinking about shipments that had to be received on the African coastline, again, a lot of delays and many times missing the planting window. And then I think last but not least, it's the currency devaluation that had a huge impact on uncertainty in terms of what to plant for the next season, and trying to mitigate all of these uncertainties in a time like this.
Okay, are you managing your way around them, navigating your way through it to a certain extent?
I must say our internal supply chain has done a brilliant job in terms of resilience and making creative plans to ensure that our growers can still have the product on farm. Not everyone has been that lucky.
Talking about that, what do you foresee? I mean, in the next, let's say 12 months, the economy, the agricultural economy on the continent, do you think we're going to suffer?
We are going to face numerous challenges. If one looks at sub-Saharan Africa, we see a cut of about 23% in remittances, which will have an impact on small-scale growers, specifically in Central Africa, in terms of their ability to plant and to be profitable. I think secondly also the availability of labour. We've seen Europe suffering a lot due to that, and luckily if one looks at Africa, South Africa for an example was in a great position to increase its exports due to the availability of labour. However, going forward and the availability thereof remains uncertain.
So you could have a big problem when it comes to profitability, which of course affects everything when it comes to any type of business.
Now, of course, and I think that's where it's most important to not only look at your input cost, but look at yield, look at ultimately very favourable commodity prices out there, and to see what can be achieved by providing your crop with the best possible technology out there.
What are you doing as Corteva to help some of the farmers on the continent mitigate some of these challenges?
I must say that the past couple of weeks has been tremendous to see the digital uptake in terms of grower behaviour. We've actually done some research and technology demonstration fields where we've invited growers to participate via Zoom to experience our technology firsthand in the fields. Obviously, we were not in a position to invite them face-to-face to experience this. Secondly, we've done a lot of training, technical training in terms of correct product application, stewardship, safe handling. All of this done in a digital manner, and really been surprised by the uptake, specifically in Kenya, in terms of this kind of behavior.
I want to talk about that in terms of regions, because you've got the East African region, which is very tech savvy to a certain extent. Are you finding Africa warming up to a lot of the new technology in the farming arena?
Most definitely. If one compares this current pandemic to previously in 2018, where the world faced more or less the same pandemic, if one just looks at digital behavior in terms of pre-buying behavior, the digital uptake has been tremendous, but also in terms of repurchasing. So definitely not only because of a younger generation coming to farm, but also because of a much more efficient way of doing business.
Let's talk about the new norm that everyone is talking about now in every single different sector. Do you see us now having to adapt and maybe change the way our behavior when it comes to farming?
Well, farming remains a highly relational business, and it's important for growers to have the technical experts on their lands and to advise them and to support them. And obviously following protocols, we are still very much doing that. However, as an organization, we have realized that many other things, such as training, which I mentioned, such as grower interaction on a large scale and gathering thoughts and sharing thoughts on best practice, all of that can change towards a more digital channel. Not only addressing more efficient use of time, but also efficient use of capacity internally of the organization.
So Linda, we're living in a very environmentally aware world at the present moment, which is critical, which is very important. As input suppliers to the agricultural sector broadly, how are you handling that?
Well, of course, one looks or need to look at this holistically. So from logistics to the whole supply chain, how to shorten this in terms of a shorter route to market to get the products on the farm, but then ultimately to ensure that whatever solution is put out there is sustainable and environmentally friendly. And this ranges from the way it's being applied, the way the product is being applied, to stewardship in terms of farm workers, in terms of training, on safe use of product, and then obviously also carbon footprint in terms of packaging material.
Well, Linda, the pandemic has restricted movement, has restricted imports and exports, and obviously many African countries have suffered from this, especially in the agricultural sector. Talk to us about a couple of examples.
Yeah, so Africa exports annually about $35 billion US. And what we see is 80% of these countries that we do export to have been severely hit by COVID, Central Europe, East, Southern, Central Asia. To take a few examples, Kenya horticulture is losing about $3.5 million US a day due to decreased demand. That's slowly getting better, but still the outlook is very bleak. We all know what happened to Kenya export flour business. Luckily, the demand is there again for about 3.5 tons per day, but due to the lack of air cargo, we can only manage that supply in terms of 1,000 tons a day. And then last but not least is the Ghana cocoa market. As said by the chairman of COCOBOD, just immediately after COVID, the country suffered a $1 billion deficit just due to the lack of demand in cocoa.
Okay, so Linda, so those are some of the challenges, but there are a few bright spots at the present moment, including Ethiopia.
There are many bright spots. So Ethiopia Airlines, globally award-winning airlines, has been so creative in terms of how they operate their fleet. So they actually one of the national carriers that did adopt their business model to be able to support export agriculture to the rest of the world.
But I suppose at the same time, this gives us an opportunity to change our behavior, take advantage of these challenges.
No, for sure, Tony. It was a wake-up call for many of us, taking stock of what we do, how we keep ourselves busy throughout the day and how we can do things better. No doubt in my mind, Africans are resilient. We are known to overcome challenges, and this one, for sure, we will overcome.
All right, Linda, thank you so much for coming through to Tech Terrain. Good chatting with you.
Thank you, Tony.
There you have it. Linda van der Merwe from Corteva says we must be resilient like we've always been. This pandemic will be over.